Mina was a simple girl who lived in a small town. She worked at a local grocery store and helped her mother after work. Her life was peaceful and quiet, with no excitement or drama. She was kind to everyone and never ignored anyone who needed help. That afternoon, the store was busy. Mina stood at the counter, scanning items and greeting customers with her usual warm smile. The sound of the cash register, the hum of people talking, and the scent of baked bread filled the air. She liked her job because it let her meet different kinds of people, even though most just came and left without a word. Then she saw him. An old man stood near the entrance, holding a small shopping basket. His clothes were worn but clean. He looked confused, staring at the shelves as if he did not remember what he came for. His silver hair shone under the lights, and his hands trembled slightly when he picked up a jar of honey only to place it back again. Mina noticed his confusion and walked over with a friendly smile. "Hello, sir. Do you need help finding something?" she asked softly. The man looked at her, his eyes tired but kind. "I was looking for tea," he said after a short pause. "I can't seem to find the kind I used to buy." Mina nodded. "Let me show you where it is." She led him to the tea section and pointed at the shelf. "We have green tea, black tea, and this one with herbs. Do you remember the name?" He looked carefully at the boxes, his lips moving as if reading each one. Finally, he picked a box of herbal tea. "Yes, this one. My late wife used to buy it," Mina smiled kindly. "It's a good choice. Would you like anything else?" He shook his head. "No, that's all, thank you." As they walked back to the counter, Mina noticed that the old man's shoes were muddy, as if he had walked a long distance. When she scanned his item and told him the price, he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small old leather wallet. His hand shook again as he counted the money. Some coins fell on the counter. Mina quickly helped him pick them up. "It's all right, sir. Take your time." He smiled faintly. "You're very kind, young lady. Not many help strangers these days." "It's no problem," Mina said. "Would you like me to pack it for you?" He nodded, and she placed the tea carefully in a paper bag. Before he left, he looked at her again and said something unusual. "Be careful on your way home tonight," he said in a quiet voice. "Some people notice kindness more than you think." Mina blinked, unsure what he meant. She smiled politely, thinking he was just being friendly. "Thank you, sir." "You too." He nodded once and walked out of the store slowly, his steps calm but firm. Mina watched him leave and felt a strange chill for a moment, but she brushed it off and went back to work. The rest of the day passed normally. When her shift ended, she packed her bag and left the store. The sun had already set and the streetlights glowed faintly. She walked home through the quiet neighborhood, enjoying the cool breeze. Her house was small but warm, shared with her mother, who waited for her with dinner ready. "How was your day?" her mother asked while serving soup. "It was fine," Mina replied. "There was this old man at the store. He seemed nice, but he said something strange before leaving." Her mother smiled. "Old people sometimes say things like that. Maybe he was just thankful." Mina nodded, though she still felt a small unease in her chest. She finished dinner, helped clean the dishes, and went to her room to rest. Her bed was near the window, and from there she could see the quiet street outside. Everything looked peaceful, just like every other night. She opened her small notebook and began to write about her day. It was her habit to write simple notes about things that happened, even small ones. She wrote about the customers, her mother's soup, and the old man who needed tea. She stopped when she reached the part where he had told her to be careful. She looked at those words and felt something again, something she could not name. Suddenly, she heard a car outside. She looked out the window. A black SUV drove slowly past her house, its headlights sweeping across the walls. It stopped for a moment, as if someone inside was looking at her house, then moved on. Mina frowned. Big cars like that were rare in her neighborhood. She told herself it was just someone lost, but she closed her notebook and went to bed early. The sound of the engine fading into the distance stayed in her mind. The next morning, she woke up early and went to work again. Everything seemed normal. She kept thinking about the old man, wondering if he lived nearby. During her lunch break, she asked her coworker if anyone knew him, but no one did. "Maybe he's new here," her coworker said. "We get travelers sometimes." That made sense, Mina thought. She finished her shift and headed home as usual. Her mother was in the garden, watering the plants. The sun was setting again, painting the sky orange and pink. It looked peaceful, but Mina still felt that quiet unease inside her. After dinner, she went to her room again. She read a few pages from a book and tried to forget about the old man. But around 9 in the evening, she heard something outside, a low rumbling sound. Her heart skipped. She walked to the window and looked outside. 3 black SUVs were parked across the street, their engines running quietly. Their headlights were off, but she could see the faint glow from inside. The windows were dark and she could not see who was inside. Her hands grew cold. Her mother called from the other room asking if everything was all right, and Mina said yes, though her voice shook. She closed the curtains and tried to calm her racing thoughts. Maybe they were visitors or friends of a neighbor. Maybe it was nothing, but deep down she felt something was wrong. The words of the old man came back to her mind. Some people notice kindness more than you think. She sat on her bed, holding her notebook tightly, listening to the quiet hum of the SUVs outside. The sound stayed for minutes, then faded slowly as the engine stopped. Mina did not sleep that night. She kept looking toward the window, waiting for something to happen, and for the first time in her peaceful life, she felt truly afraid. Mina did not sleep much that night. She kept turning on her bed, listening for any sound outside. Every small noise made her heart beat faster. When morning came, she finally felt a bit of relief. The sun's light made everything look normal again. She looked out her window and the 3 SUVs were gone. The street was quiet, just like before. Her mother was already in the kitchen making breakfast. Mina tried to act normal. She smiled and helped set the table. Her mother talked about simple things, like the plants in the garden and the new neighbor who had moved in 2 streets away. Mina nodded and tried to listen, but her thoughts stayed on what had happened the night before. When she left for work, she looked around carefully. The air was fresh, but she felt a small tension in her chest. On her way to the store, she noticed something unusual. A black car was parked near the bakery, the same kind as the ones from last night. A man in a dark jacket sat inside reading something. Mina slowed her steps. The man looked up for a second and then looked away as if pretending not to see her. She hurried her pace until she reached the store. Inside, she felt safer. Her manager, Mr. Karim, greeted her as always. "Good morning, Mina, you look tired. Didn't sleep well?" "I'm fine, sir," she said, forcing a smile. "Just a long night." The day went by quietly. Customers came and went. She served them, cleaned the counters, and tried to keep her mind busy. But her eyes kept going to the glass door, checking if the car was still there. By noon, it was gone. That should have made her feel better, but it didn't. In the afternoon, the same old man came back. Mina was surprised when she saw him walking slowly through the aisles again. He wore the same coat and carried the same old wallet. He looked calm, but there was something different in his eyes, as if he already knew what she had seen. He came to her counter and placed a loaf of bread on it. "Good afternoon," she said. "You came back." "I did," he said softly. "I wanted to thank you again for your help yesterday." "You're welcome, sir," she replied. Then she hesitated. "I saw something strange last night. 3 big cars parked outside my house. I don't know why, but I felt something was wrong." The old man looked at her for a moment, then lowered his voice. "They were not there by accident." Mina froze. "What do you mean?" He sighed and looked around. There were no other customers nearby. "I should not be telling you this, but your kindness yesterday may have drawn attention from people who were following me." Mina blinked, trying to understand. "Following you?" He nodded. "I am not just an old man, young lady. There are things I was part of long ago, things some people do not want forgotten. I thought I had escaped all that, but it seems they found me again. And when you helped me, they saw you." Mina's hands grew cold. "I didn't do anything. I just showed you where the tea was." He gave a small smile. "Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes one act of kindness connects 2 lives." She didn't know what to say. "What should I do? Are they dangerous?" He looked at her calmly. "Yes, but they are not here to hurt you, not yet. They are watching to see if you know anything. You don't, so they will wait. Still, you must be careful." Mina felt her throat tighten. "What do I tell my mother?" "Tell her nothing," he said firmly. "Act normal. Go to work, live as usual. Do not speak of this to anyone. If they think you are just an ordinary girl, they will leave you alone." Mina nodded slowly, though fear filled her chest. The man paid for the bread, and before leaving, he placed a small folded paper on the counter. "If anything strange happens again, read this," he said. Then he left the store. She opened the paper when no one was watching. Inside there was a short note written in careful handwriting. If they come, do not run. Wait until morning. Mina didn't understand what it meant. She folded the note and kept it in her pocket. The rest of the day passed in a blur. That evening, as she walked home, she kept checking behind her. Once again, a black SUV was parked 2 streets away. It did not follow her, but she felt its presence. When she reached home, her mother greeted her with a smile and told her that a man had come earlier asking if Mina lived there. Her heart stopped. "What man?" "An old one," her mother said. "He was very polite. Said he left his scarf at the store and wanted to return it. I told him you'd be home soon, but he said it wasn't important." Mina knew at once it was the same man. But why would he come to her house? Had he left something there? Or was he warning her again? That night she stayed awake, sitting near the window. The street was quiet for a long time. Then she saw the same 3 SUVs again. They parked in the same place as before. Her hand shook as she pulled the curtain a little to see better. This time the doors opened. Men in dark clothes stepped out. They did not speak loudly, but she could see them pointing at her house. One of them took out something that looked like a small device. Mina backed away from the window, her breath coming fast. She remembered the note. If they come, do not run. Wait until morning. She did not understand why she shouldn't run, but something in her heart told her to trust the old man. She turned off her room light, went to her mother's room and whispered, "Please don't turn on any lights tonight." Her mother looked worried. "Why, Mina? What's wrong?" "Just please listen," Mina said. "I think someone is outside." "Stay quiet. Don't open the door." Her mother nodded, fear in her eyes. They both stayed silent in the dark. Mina listened to the faint sounds outside. She could hear footsteps moving near the gate, then the quiet hum of engines. Minutes felt like hours. The men stayed for a long time, but they never knocked. At some point in the night, she heard a car door close harder than the rest. Then the sound of another engine joined them. She peeked through the curtain just enough to see. A small silver car had stopped near the SUVs. The old man stepped out. Mina's eyes widened. He walked calmly toward the men. They turned to him, and for a moment no one moved. Then one man pointed toward Mina's house. The old man shook his head. It looked like they were arguing quietly. After a few minutes, the men went back into their cars and drove away, all 3 SUVs disappearing into the distance. The old man stood alone on the street for a moment, then looked at Mina's window. He raised his hand slightly, almost like a wave, and then got back into his car and left. When the sound of engines faded, Mina finally breathed again. She sat on the floor, her heart still pounding. Her mother held her hand, both too afraid to speak. By morning, everything looked normal again. The sun rose and birds sang outside like nothing had happened. But Mina knew something had changed. The quiet old man was not who he seemed, and her small act of kindness had pulled her into something much larger. She looked at the note again, reading the simple words. If they come, do not run. Wait until morning. Now she understood. The old man had protected her. But she also knew this was not the end. Something was still out there, and soon she would learn why those black SUVs had come to her door. Mina woke up early the next morning, but her mind still felt heavy. The memories of last night stayed with her. The sound of the engines, the men outside her home, and the old man standing in the street. All of it replayed again and again in her thoughts. Her mother tried to ask questions, but Mina said very little. She didn't want her mother to worry even more. She went to work as usual, though her steps were slower. She kept thinking about the old man. Why did he protect her? Who were those men? And why did they care about someone as ordinary as her? When she reached the store, she saw something strange. The manager, Mr. Karim, was talking to 2 men near the entrance. They wore simple clothes, but their manner was sharp. Mina could tell right away that they were not normal customers. As she walked closer, one of the men looked at her. His eyes were cold, but his smile looked polite. "You must be Mina," he said. "We just wanted to ask a few questions." Mr. Karim looked uncomfortable. "They said they're from some organization. I thought you should talk to them before work." Mina's heart raced, but she nodded slowly. "All right." One of the men showed a small card. "We are investigators. We're looking for an older man who came here a few times recently." "About your height, silver hair, worn coat?" Mina tried to stay calm. "Yes, he came here twice. He bought tea and bread." "Did he tell you his name?" "No, sir." Did he give you anything or ask you to deliver something? Mina hesitated for a moment. The folded note in her pocket felt heavy. No, sir. He just bought his things and left. The men looked at each other briefly. The taller one nodded. If he comes again, call this number. He handed her a small paper with a phone number on it. He's not dangerous, but we need to speak with him. It's important. Mina nodded again, trying to look calm. They thanked her and left the store. Mr. Karim sighed. I hope everything's all right. You can take the morning slow, Mina. She smiled weakly. Thank you, sir. When the men were gone, she opened her bag under the counter and looked at the note the old man had given her. It was the same small paper, the same handwriting. There were no names, no symbols. Only that one sentence. She didn't know who to trust anymore. By afternoon, she decided to find him. She couldn't stay waiting, wondering when something would happen. Maybe if she spoke to him again, she could understand the truth. After work, she went to the small park near the old part of town. The man had once mentioned he lived near the river. It was a quiet area, with few houses and narrow streets. The sun was setting when she arrived. She walked slowly looking for him, asking a few people if they had seen an old man with silver hair and a long coat. A fruit seller pointed toward a small wooden house near the edge of the river. That man lives there, he said. Doesn't talk much, but sometimes buys apples. Mina thanked him and walked toward the house. It was small, with an old fence and a small garden full of dry flowers. She knocked gently. After a few seconds, the door opened. The old man stood there, looking tired but alert. I was expecting you, he said softly. Come in. Mina entered, her heart beating fast. The house was simple, filled with books, maps, and papers scattered on a wooden table. It looked like the room of someone who studied or planned something important. I'm sorry to come without asking, Mina said, but 2 men came to the store today. They said they were investigators. They were asking about you. He nodded slowly. I know, they are not investigators. They work for the same people who sent those cars to your house. Mina frowned. Why are they following you? What do they want? He sat down in a chair and looked at her carefully. Years ago, I worked for a research group. We studied information that was not supposed to be public. Something about energy. About how to make power from air and movement. It was meant to help people, but others saw profit in it. When I refused to hand over the data, they erased my record and began searching for me. I have been hiding ever since. Mina listened carefully, her fear turning into concern. And now they think you gave that information to me. Yes, he said quietly. When they saw you talking to me, they assumed I shared something. They do not trust anyone near me. Mina shook her head. But I don't know anything. I just helped you in the store. He smiled faintly. That is why I told you to be careful. You are innocent, but they do not care. They only care about what they believe. Mina looked around the room. There were old papers filled with strange symbols and notes. She saw a small metal box on the table. What is that? The old man followed her gaze. That is what they want, he said. It's a part of the device we were building. Without it, their plan will fail. I kept it safe all these years. Mina felt uneasy. Why not give it to them if it keeps you safe? Because they would use it for destruction, he said firmly. It was meant to help cities with clean power. They would turn it into a weapon. Mina stayed silent for a while. She finally said, Then what should I do? You have already done enough, he said kindly. But now that they have seen your face, they may return. You must act like nothing happened. If I disappear, stay calm. Do not search for me. Someone will come to you with a message when it is safe. Mina wanted to argue, but his calm voice made her stop. What if they come again? She asked quietly. He smiled sadly. They will come, but this time they will not find what they seek. As the sun went down, Mina left the house. The sky turned dark purple and the streetlights started to glow. She walked home quickly, still trying to process everything she had heard. When she reached her street, her mother was waiting at the gate, worried. Where were you? You didn't tell me you'd be late. I'm sorry, Mina said softly. I went to see someone from work. It's nothing, her mother sighed. You must rest, Mina. You look tired. That night, Mina sat near her window again. She looked at the street, expecting the SUVs to return. For a while, everything was quiet. But around midnight, she saw something moving near the corner. A black SUV stopped near the same spot as before. Then another one. Then a third. Her heart sank. Men stepped out again, but this time they didn't move toward her house. They walked toward the main road, carrying flashlights and something metallic. They were searching for someone else. Mina watched them quietly. A few minutes later, she saw another car appear. It was silver, the same as before. The old man's car. He was leaving. The men noticed and started running toward him. His car sped away and the SUVs followed. Their engines roared through the night until the sound faded. Mina sat there frozen, watching the empty street. She didn't know what would happen to him, but she hoped he would be safe. As dawn came, she opened her notebook and wrote down everything she remembered. The old man, the device, the warning. She didn't know if she would ever see him again, but she wanted to remember. Outside, the first light of morning touched the quiet road. Mina whispered softly to herself, "Please be safe, old man." She didn't know that far from her house, near the river road, a silver car was parked under a bridge, empty, with the driver's door open. And inside, on the seat, lay a folded piece of paper with her name written on it. Mina woke up with a strange feeling in her chest. The night before had been quiet, but she could not stop thinking about the sound of those engines fading into the distance. She had seen the old man's car chased by 3 SUVs, and she had not seen him since. The morning sun came through her window, but it brought no peace. She felt as if something important was about to happen. After breakfast, she walked outside to get some air. The street looked normal again. Children were walking to school, a man was fixing his bike, and a woman was hanging clothes in her yard. It almost made Mina wonder if everything that had happened was just a dream. But when she touched the folded paper in her pocket, she knew it was real. She had not opened it yet. It was the paper with her name written on it, the one left in the old man's car. She had found it early that morning when she went to check if the silver car had returned. Instead, she found the car empty near the river bridge. The note had been waiting for her on the seat. She had not dared to read it then. Now she sat in her room and unfolded it carefully. The handwriting was neat and clear. "Mina, if you are reading this, then they have found me. Do not be afraid. I have hidden the device where no one will find it. You are not in danger if you stay calm and act normal. But there is one thing you must do. Go to the old library on Market Street. Look for a book called The Silent Current. Inside it is something you must keep safe. Do not open it until you are sure you are alone." Mina stared at the note, her hands trembling. The old man had trusted her with something. She didn't understand why, but deep down she felt she could not ignore it. By midday, she told her mother she needed to go to the library to return a book. Her mother smiled and reminded her to come home before sunset. Mina nodded and left, hiding the note in her bag. The library was an old building with tall windows and quiet hallways filled with the smell of paper and dust. It was the kind of place few people visited anymore. Mina walked slowly through the rows of books, her eyes scanning the titles. The section about science and history was in the far corner. After several minutes, she found it, The Silent Current. The book looked old, with a faded blue cover. She took it off the shelf and opened it. Inside, between 2 pages, was a small envelope sealed with tape. Her heart raced as she pulled it out. There was no name, only a single line written on it. "Keep it hidden until you know the truth." Mina looked around to make sure no one was watching. A young librarian stood at the counter, busy typing. A man read quietly near the window. Everything seemed normal. She slipped the envelope into her bag and left. As soon as she stepped outside, a cold wind passed through the street. She glanced across the road and froze. A black SUV was parked near the corner again. It was the same kind, dark windows and quiet engine. She quickly turned away and walked in the opposite direction, pretending not to notice. She walked fast through small lanes until she reached the bus stop. She waited there, pretending to check her phone. A few minutes later, the SUV passed slowly along the road as if searching for someone. Mina's heart pounded, but she stayed calm. When the bus came, she got on and sat near the window. The ride home felt long. She kept thinking about the envelope and what could be inside. When she reached home, she went straight to her room and locked the door. She placed the envelope on her bed and stared at it for a long time. Then she remembered what the note said, to open it only when she was sure she was alone. She waited until night. Her mother went to sleep early and the house became silent. Mina sat under the small light near her desk and carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a small metal chip wrapped in thin paper. It looked like a piece of a computer part, small but heavy. There was also another note. "The key is not the machine, but the choice. Trust no one. If anyone asks, say you lost it." When the time comes, someone will say the words, "The river runs quiet." Give it to them and no one else. Mina felt cold as she read the words. She didn't know who would come for it or why. She only knew that whatever this small object was, it was important. Too important. She wrapped the chip again and hid it inside an old toy box under her bed. Then she sat there wondering if she should tell her mother. But she remembered the old man's warning. The fewer people who knew, the safer she would be. The next morning, she woke up to the sound of knocking. Her heart jumped. Her mother opened the door and Mina heard voices in the living room. Two men stood there wearing simple clothes but with that same calm, sharp look she had seen before. "We're looking for an elderly man," one of them said politely. "He may have visited your daughter's workplace." Her mother called Mina, who came out trying to hide her fear. "Yes, he came to the store," she said. "But I haven't seen him since." The man smiled faintly. "If you do, please let us know. He might be in danger." He handed her a card with the same number she had been given before. Mina nodded and they left. She watched from the window as they entered a black SUV and drove away. Her mother sighed. "They seem serious." "Who is that man anyway?" Mina shook her head. "Just a customer, Mama. I think he's gone now." For the next few days, everything stayed quiet. Mina went to work, came home, helped her mother, and tried to act normal. But she always felt watched. Sometimes she saw the same black car parked far from her house. Sometimes she saw the same man from the store walking near the market. She began to sleep less and less. One evening as she walked home, she noticed a small letter stuck under the front gate. It had no name, only her address written in plain handwriting. She took it inside and opened it. The message was short. "They are coming tonight. Hide it somewhere no one will think to look." Mina's breath caught. She ran to her room, took the metal chip from under her bed and looked around. She thought of every possible hiding place, but nowhere felt safe. Then she looked at the kitchen. She ran there, opened the small jar of salt, and dropped the chip inside before mixing it. She placed the jar back where it always stood, plain and ordinary among the others. That night she couldn't rest. The air outside was too quiet. Around midnight she heard it again, the low hum of engines. She went to the window and saw two SUVs parked outside, lights off. Her hands shook as she closed the curtain. Moments later, there was a soft knock at the door. Her mother stirred but didn't wake. Mina stayed frozen. The knock came again, a bit louder. She didn't move. After a few seconds, she heard footsteps outside, then silence. She stayed awake the whole night, listening. When morning came, the SUVs were gone. But on the front porch, she found a small stone with a piece of paper tied to it. It said, "We will return." Mina looked at the road, empty under the morning sun, and knew her quiet life was gone. The old man's secret was now hers, and whether she liked it or not, she was part of something much bigger than she understood. The morning was quiet. The sun slowly climbed above the small town, spreading a soft orange glow across the streets. Lila stood near her window, watching the light fall on the trees outside. It had been a long night. The agents had stayed until dawn, searching every room and checking every corner. Now her house looked almost normal again. But Lila knew that nothing would ever be normal after what she had learned. The old man, Mr. Gray, was sitting on the couch with a blanket around his shoulders. His face looked calm, but his eyes still carried the sadness of many years. The two agents, Davis and Nora, were near the table talking in low voices. When Lila walked over, they turned to her. "Good morning," Nora said gently. "You didn't sleep much." Lila shook her head. "I couldn't. I keep thinking about everything you told me." "About who he really is," Davis nodded. "It's a lot to take in, but you did the right thing, Lila. Helping him yesterday at the store might have saved more lives than you know." Lila sat down beside Mr. Gray. She looked at him carefully. "You were never just an old man, were you?" she asked softly. He smiled faintly. "I was once a scientist," he said, "long before I lost everything. I worked for a small division that handled information not meant for the public. I discovered something dangerous, something that powerful people wanted to hide. I refused to help them, so they silenced me. For years I lived in the shadows, until I saw that it was time to tell the truth." Lila felt a shiver run through her. "So those people who came last night, they were part of the same group," Davis said. "They wanted him before he could reach us. But thanks to you, they failed." Lila looked at the floor. I didn't do anything special. Nora smiled. You did what most people wouldn't. You stopped to help. You noticed him when others didn't. Sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. There was a silence in the room. The only sound was the faint hum of a car passing outside. Then Mr. Gray reached into his pocket and pulled out a small black device. It looked like a flash drive, but it was covered with strange markings. This is what they want, he said. All the data, all the proof. It's everything I collected over the years. I was trying to deliver it to someone I could trust, but they found me before I could finish. Davis leaned forward. We can protect it. Our team will make sure it's safe. Mr. Gray shook his head. No, I want Lila to have it. Lila's eyes widened. Me, why? Because you're not part of any agency or group, he said. You have no reason to lie or use it for gain. You act from kindness, not ambition. The world still needs people like you. Lila looked at the small device in his hand. It felt like more than she could carry. I don't even know what to do with it. Keep it safe, Mr. Gray said. And when the time comes, you'll know. Before she could reply, a loud noise came from outside. Everyone looked toward the window. Another black SUV had stopped near the street. Davis stood quickly and spoke into his radio. We have company again. Stay alert. Nora moved toward the door. Lila's heart began to race. But instead of men in dark suits, a group of uniformed officers stepped out of the SUV. Davis sighed with relief. Back up, he said. When the officers entered, they took Mr. Gray into protective custody. He looked at Lila one last time before leaving. Don't forget what I said, he told her. Sometimes the smallest kindness can open the biggest door. Lila watched as they drove away. For a moment, the street was full of movement and noise. Then everything went silent again. She stood on her porch holding the small black device in her hand. Over the next few days, her life slowly returned to a kind of peace. She went back to her job at the store trying to act normal. People talked about the black SUVs that had been seen on her street, but no one knew the truth. Lila didn't tell them. She kept the device hidden inside a small box under her bed. But sometimes at night she would hear the faint sound of engines in the distance. It reminded her that not everything was finished. One evening as she was closing the store, a man walked in. He looked ordinary with a gray jacket and calm eyes. He smiled politely. You must be Lila, he said. Yes, she replied. Can I help you? I think you can, he said quietly. Mr. Gray told me to find you when the time was right. Lila's breath caught. Is he safe? The man nodded. He's under protection, but he asked me to give you this. He handed her a folded letter. Lila opened it after the man left. The handwriting was neat and steady. Dear Lila, if you're reading this, then I'm safe for now. You have something important, but it's not just information, it's a key. When the world is ready, it will unlock the truth. Until then, live your life. Stay kind, keep helping people. That's how we win, not through power, but through goodness. Thank you for reminding me what hope looks like. Gray Lila folded the letter carefully and placed it in her bag. She felt a strange warmth in her chest. She didn't understand everything that had happened, but she understood one thing. Her small act of kindness had changed more than she could see. That night, she stood outside her house again. The sky was full of stars. The street was quiet. For the first time in days, she felt calm. Then, far down the road, she saw two black SUVs drive past. They didn't stop this time. They moved slowly, almost like they were watching. But Lila didn't step back. She stood still, the wind moving her hair, her eyes steady on the dark horizon. She knew the world was bigger than her small town, and somewhere out there, people were still fighting for the truth. She didn't know when she would be called again, but she was no longer afraid. Lila turned toward her house and smiled. Tomorrow she would open the store like always, greet people with a smile and live quietly. But deep down she carried a secret that could change the world, and she carried it with courage. The night was peaceful again, and for the first time since that strange day at the store, Lila finally felt free.